Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for 502 Sports. Hey everyone, welcome to a new edition of 502 Sports presented by our friends at Take Tie. I'm your host, Adam Hitt, and today we have a very special guest on the show. She is a Racing Louisville and LouisvilleCity Superfan. You can also catch her on the big board at Lynn Family Stadium for your game day weather. And we're going to start calling her the First Lady of Forecast. She is Wave News meteorologist Tawana Andrew. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I love that title, by the way. I might need that on a t-shirt.
Absolutely. Well, I know, Tawana, you are a huge sports fan. That's one of the reasons I wanted to chat with you a little bit today, especially for Racing and LouCity, and we'll get into that in a second. But I thought it would be really interesting because a lot of people know you from, the game days. They see you on the big board. They see you on Wave News as a role model meteorologist. And so I do want to ask you, your connection to sports. What were some of the sports that you watched or played when you were growing up? Is there anything that you remember that stands out to you that kind of got you into sports?
Well, my dad and my uncle both played cricket. My uncle did so professionally, actually. So that was kind of like my first introduction to sports. But my dad is like a huge sports guy. So we'd watch NFL together, we'd watch soccer together, anything that was on TV, I'd be like sitting next to him and watching. So that was kind of like my first introduction to sports in general. I wanted to play soccer myself for a while back when I was in elementary school and middle school, but I kind of hurt myself trying. So, funny story. I was racing this boy when I was in maybe 6th grade because he said that girls were not as fast as boys were. And I had to prove him wrong. In the middle of the race, which I was winning at the time, I stepped in a hole, locked my knee, and that was it for me in terms of soccer. So now I just watch. Now I just enjoy and do other things instead.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know that, knowing a little bit about you, I know that you are a big Florida State fan, right? And I was wondering, what teams do you support? Obviously, Racing Louisville, LouCity here locally. What other teams are big for you that you support that, you're a fanatic about?
Okay, so definitely Racing and LouCity. Florida State, I'm crazy about my Seminoles, but the Bengals, I'm a huge Bengals fan to the point where I have in the closet behind me two Bengals onesies ready to go for the season.
There you go.
I started off as a Dolphins fan when I was a kid because I grew up in South Florida. And then I kind of gave up on the Dolphins after a while because they were not doing well, still not really doing well. And started to go for the Falcons for kind of college, high school, trying to figure stuff out. And then when I moved here and met my husband, he is a die-hard Bengals fan, and I kind of just married into it. So now I cheer louder than he does in general. So huge Bengals fan. That's definitely my big team outside of soccer, for sure.
That makes sense. Do you think they're going to get Joe Burrow some help at some point?
No. I wish I could say yes, but the way that things have been going, I mean, we just got the Trey Hendrickson news yesterday. I was like, okay, right. I've given up. The disappointment is just going to be part of it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, seems like that's going the opposite direction, but hey, we're fanatics for a reason, right? We're going to support them, win, lose, or draw. We're going to support them. But so when you were a kid, when you were growing up, you talked about, your dad, you were into cricket, your family was into cricket. Were there certain sports role models that you looked up to when you were a kid that, were just, role models for you?
I was thinking about this, and I think Serena Williams was definitely it because at the time when I was growing up, there wasn't anybody who looked like me who was doing what she was doing. And she was also getting a crazy backlash and all that stuff, and she was handling it with grace. And that was one of those things where I was like, I want to be like that in terms of maybe not the tennis side of it, because I cannot play tennis. However, the other side of it was just how she handled herself and she carried herself, and how just confident and strong that she seemed to be, that was something I really wanted to emulate. So that, like, she was definitely somebody I looked up to in that way, even though when I was a kid, like, I loved watching sports, but I wasn't really sportsy myself. That was something I just really gravitated to. She still is. I mean, I still love her. I still look up to her. So she was definitely and still is one of my like big role models in that way, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, Venus and Serena just had such an impact, right? They you see the young girls starting to play tennis. It's a little bit like Tiger Woods effect on golf. Like you see all the kids, all of a sudden everybody's picking up a tennis racket and trying their hand at becoming a Venus or Serena. It's pretty
Yeah.
incredible. So obviously you're a meteorologist for Wave News. So I feel like I have to ask you at least one kind of weather related question, right?
Fair,
So
fair.
we live in the Ohio Valley, Kentucky, southern Indiana. We never know what the weather's going to be like from one day to another unless we're paying attention to you, obviously.
Hey.
Um, but I'm wondering, like, there's going to be a lot of people outdoors in the spring and summer. They're going to be going to games, whether it's the professional games like Racing and LouCity, the new Louisville Kings. There's, everybody's going to their kids' games all over the city. What are some recommendations that you have for people who are going to be outdoors? The weather's unpredictable. What should they be thinking about from a weather perspective to make sure that they stay safe or as safe as they possibly can?
Yeah, my first big thing is just one, make sure you have ways to get alerts. I'm just gonna say it, the app that comes with your phone is not accurate. Like it's just not. So getting another app, hey, I'm gonna, I gotta plug the Wave Weather app. I have to. But whatever more reliable app than that, there are plenty of out there to make sure you get alerts, whether it's severe weather alerts, just letting you know that there's lightning nearby, make sure you know that there's rain coming, anything like that. Now, before you head out, not a bad idea to, just check the forecast, even if it's just a quick glance, just to see what the temperature is, what's going to be changing, and not just what it is right now. That's the big thing that people are always like, oh, let me look and see what it is right now, and don't ever check what is going to be later on. Like, you got to know what it's going to be when you're going home. So, like,
Yeah.
double check those things and just make sure, like I always say on air, be weather aware. That's the big thing. Just kind of have an idea of what's going on so you don't get caught in the rain. You're not out there without a jacket and in shorts when it's cold outside. Like you just want to be prepared. Preparation and not panic. That's what we like. Those would be my big weather related tips because people tend to freak out sometimes, and I'm always like, nah, it's okay, it's okay. Just be prepared, know what's going on,
Yep.
and you'll be fine.
Exactly. Yeah. So it does surprise me still with access to weather at people's fingertips, how unprepared people are for the weather.
Mm-hmm.
That the rain sneaks up on them, the storms sneak up on them sometimes. So it's a little shocking, but you have that access. The Wave 3 app is one of the best ones here in Louisville for people to stay in the know. Absolutely. But I have kind of a follow-up question to that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a perception right now that with some of the storms and things that we've had lately, that there seems to be more lightning happening around, whether it's, in our area, just in general with some of these storms. Is that a real thing? Are you seeing a trend of having more lightning now, or is that just kind of, hyperbole? Just it feels like maybe there's more lightning happening.
I think people are just paying more attention now.
Okay.
I think that's
Yeah.
more of it. We do tend to get stronger storms nowadays that have a little bit more of that lightning, a little bit more of that heavy rain. I was looking into data, and yeah, the heavy rain threat is more of an issue. But in terms of lightning statistics, those are still about the same. It's just really important to just know when that is potentially coming your way, because the majority of people who get struck by lightning are outside and men. Like that's just the stats,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
So like you just want to make sure if you're outside, like if you're gonna go play around in golf, if you're gonna go watch LouCity and racing, you just got to make sure that you know what's coming and you know where to go. Like we've had so many games where they've told us to go to safety, and I've watched people just sit in the seats.
Right.
Don't be that person.
Yeah. Right.
Don't be
Right.
that person. We don't want to see you hurt.
Yeah.
and I don't want you to get hurt. So yeah, it's there's not necessarily more lightning, I have to say. It's just I think that more people are just noticing it with social media and our phones and all of that stuff. I think we're just a little bit more hyper aware. That might be just it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we definitely want people to stay safe, so that's our recommendation too. Is have that app on your phone. Make sure you have the alert set up so you know when that severe weather is coming. But it's just so important right now. I feel like people need to be prepared for that. So hopefully they'll heed your advice and start doing that if they don't do that already. So um, I know that one of the things I think it's actually in some of your social media bios and some other interviews that I've heard with you, but I think you're a big movie aficionado, right? You love your movies, especially I think especially like like scary movies and is that your genre? What kind of genre do you prefer?
Oh, I am so I will do some horror movies, not
Okay.
very many. But I'm more of an action movie girly. Like this
Okay.
past weekend, we watched I think three Predator movies. Like I love
Wow. Okay.
those.
Right.
Anything like I like the cheesy action movies. Give me anything Fast and Furious. Give me anything Transformers. I know that they get worse as the series go on, but I'm still gonna watch all of them.
That's fair. That's fair.
So
Yeah.
that's usually the genre where I go in terms of movies in general. But yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The sequels kind of have a half-life as they as they go on, right? So, well, what is your favorite sports movie of all time? Since we're talking about sports, I'm curious what your favorite sports movie is.
Okay, this is going to be a really random answer, I think. Um, but she's the man.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I quote that movie a lot more than I should.
Do people generally get the references still, or is it starting to wear off?
I think it's starting to wear off because like
Okay.
I'll make the reference like I close my eyes and I see you what for what you really are is ugly. Like I make that reference and people just look at me like I'm crazy.
Right. Right.
But that I think is a classic. I think it's just it's not really like soccer forward soccer is in it. But I would have to think that's my favorite by far.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, no, that's great. I love those kind of movies. I love the I was speaking of soccer, like Bend It Like Beckham.
Yes.
Some of those types of movies are just really great. I mean, I will say some sports movies don't have the best plots of all the movies in the world,
Hmm.
but they're good, right? I mean, I think it's a lot of fun just to kind of watch sports that you're interested in, and that's fantastic. So I'm gonna have to rewatch She's the Man again. I haven't seen that in quite a while. I'm gonna have to look up those references you're talking about. Um, so I kind of putting your fan hat on for a second
Okay.
um, with Racing Louisville, Louisville City. Um, what was it that originally drew you to become a fan of those two teams?
So hilariously, my husband took me to a Lou City game as a date. This was back when they were playing in Slugger Field. So that was one of our first dates ever, and I was like, okay, I can get this vibe. This is a good vibe. I love this. And then after that, we just kept going and going and going, and it was just so much fun. And then they announced racing, and I was like, oh, this is about to be a problem for me.
Yeah.
I was at the first ever racing game when it was pouring rain, and then there was a beautiful rainbow that came out. And I was like, okay, that's a good sign. Like, can you have a rainbow over your game before everything ever kicks off? I was like, okay, I am all the way in, and now I don't even know how many years later I am still like obviously I'm still in into it, and we still go. We're planning on going to most of the home games this season. So if anybody sees me, just say hi.
That's awesome. Yeah. So would you be in favor if Racing or Lou City offered a first date package? Would that be something that you recommend
Well, that would be
for fans?
yes, that'd be amazing, and like some discounted food, and then like cute little
There you
seats
go.
out in the corner. We can get a good view of the city while you're also watching. That would be fantastic.
That would be
Because
kind of cool. Yeah, because maybe they could have, Tawana Andrew, like, hey, I met on my first date here
might
at
as
a game.
well.
That's pretty cool.
Might as well. Love.
Yeah,
You can find love with somebody else, and you can find love in the game, and there you go. It
that's
works.
awesome. That is fantastic. That's a really cool story. They should probably feature you at, some of one of the games or something because of that. That's really cool. Um, but, so as a racing Louisville fan, so specifically thinking about the women's team, um, what does it mean to you for them to have brought a women's professional soccer team to Louisville? What does that mean from your perspective?
I think it's just honest. Can I be very, very honest? I think it's something that the city does not appreciate enough. Because you have this top tier women's team with players that are getting international recognition. And why are the stands empty? Y'all need to show up.
Yeah,
You have incredible players that are literally known worldwide, and we are not supporting them enough here in Louisville. But I think this team just means so much to building the sports in this city, because yeah, we have a lot of college, like, you usually walk around Louisville, everybody's either going to say if there are Cards or a Cats fan. One thing that we can all unite on is the purple. Whether that is deep purple or lavender, we can all unite on that. And I think it's something that can really bring the city together in that way. And then now we have the Kings playing in the same stadium, right? That we can get more people in the Lynn family, and like, hey, if you go to one game, you should come to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and just make a whole weekend of it. So I
yeah,
think it's just something that can really help to just build the sports love in the city, because that's already there. I mean, hey, we got Churchill Downs here too, right? So like for me, I love seeing it from that perspective. But then it's also super fun to sit at the games and just watch the little kids just
yeah,
gushing over seeing their favorite players and being like, I want to be like that. I want to love that. There's a
yeah,
amazing family last season. Their season tickets were right next to mine for racing, and you could just see how much the little girls just lit up every time, they had a chance to just watch their favorite player come by. And it's even more amazing when you have other teams coming into Louisville and you're seeing people traveling to see racing play and see their favorite players play. And it's there's just that love and camaraderie, and you're making friends, and it's just a good vibe overall. And I feel like our world and our city needs a little bit more of that good vibe, so it's a nice way to unite everybody and to also like encourage the younger generation, like, hey, there's something else you can do. I mean, I would love to see more people become meteorologists, but soccer is a good option too.
yeah, exactly. Well, I completely agree with you. I mean, I think there's, my wife and I are season ticket holders for racing as well, and I think we have felt that the disparity between the amount of people that are coming out for Louisville City, and then it feels like there's just not enough people for racing that are coming out. I don't really know what the answer is because I know that the team is trying to promote
Yeah.
promote racing, um, but I just don't really know um, exactly what the answer is. Do you have any thoughts on what the team should do or any perspective on that?
Well, for me, I'm not entirely sure how best to handle it for the team per se. I know they're doing their marketing. I know they're making their partnerships. I know they're doing all of these steps to try to get more people in the stadium. I even got a chance to sit down with Caitlin Milby a couple of weeks ago, the general manager, and she was talking about their efforts about trying to get more people in the stands and trying to remind people like, hey, other than the men's team, there's a women's team too. Hey, I know they're going to be playing football here, but hey, there's the other football here. So they're doing their part, and I, as a supporter and a fan, and somebody who happens to have a platform on the news, I want to be able to do my part as well, which is why you've seen me do more of those sit down profiles with the players. Trying to do some more interviews, trying to make sure that they get coverage in that way, because the only way people are they're going to get butts in the seats is if people actually know they exist. Right? So maybe a little bit more of coverage from local news organizations and people like you who keep talking about Racing Louisville in the city. That's how I think it's just exposure and information. And then there's a lot of people who just like, oh, okay, soccer's kind of boring. They don't really see the vibe, but trying to get, like, I'm always like, invite people. Invite people. Grab a friend, even if it's not a sportsy friend. Just grab a friend, bring them to the game, and even that in itself can end up getting more people involved, more people loving it because that's how I got into it. I just had
Yeah.
somebody bring me.
Right.
And you can, and it's such a good time with an amazing group of people, and you're watching amazing athletes in front of you as well. So there, I feel like it's a multifaceted thing, but I'm trying to do my part, and I know
Yeah.
the team is
You
working
are.
really hard to do their part too. And hopefully we can get the community involved in it a little bit more as well. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we can get the weather to cooperate because I know that did not help
That last year, yeah,
last
that was
season.
rough. Yeah. The other piece that I think that it's kind of just a cultural shift that needs to happen, right? I would like to see more dads bringing their daughters to the games. I think we have a culture that's based around dads taking their sons to sporting events, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think we need to have that conversation just about, hey, it's okay to take your daughter to go see her role models as well, right? And I think that's something I love it when I see the dads out there bringing their kids to the games, especially for racing. I just think it's such an impact for them because then it's the dad is saying, "Hey, like I support you, and I'm bringing you out here to see potentially your role models, that look like you, right?" So, kind of like your Serena Williams,
Yeah.
reference earlier. So I think that's a big piece that we need to instill. We need to really try to push those dads to say, "Hey, like it's okay for you to take your daughter to sporting events, and you should." So let's get
Yeah.
out and support. Let's get out and support Racing Louisville. I love what's happening like up in Indianapolis with Caitlin Clark and that whole. They're filling stadiums up to watch women's basketball. I think we should be filling up Lynn Family Stadium. Every game for Racing Louisville. They are an incredible team. So speaking of them being an incredible team, they made the playoffs for the first time
Mm-hmm.
this past season. Um, what do you think? What are your expectations as a fan for this year as we move into that kind of that next year after making the playoffs?
I think that they're going to surprise a lot of people. Because like even I just before we sat down to do this, I read an ESPN article and it was like, why Racing Louisville is going to be eighth this season, and I went, really, really, like
Yeah,
there's so much doubt around this team, but I've seen that there's just an energy. Like we had that one terrible 4-1 loss at home last season, and the energy shift after that was incredible. And I think it's just a lot of the players just stepping up and being like, that's not who we want to be anymore. And I think that energy continues into this season. I've already been able to sit down with a couple of players and just talk to some staff before the season ever starts. And like the vibe is just, there's just this incredible energy and momentum with this team right now that I think that once we head into this season, like they're going to tap into a way that we're just not ready for, not prepared for, that a lot of people are just not expecting. I actually have a story coming out soon, just previewing the season, and in it, basically, Aaron Wright says we have that pressure, and that pressure is something that's propelling us forwards. Now people see we've done it, we've made it to the playoffs. Now they're just like, hey, we're going to do it again. Even if you don't believe in us, we're going to do it again because they obviously believe in themselves and they've built a culture that just seems to just bring in the right people. I mean, it's not necessarily like, the big names, but the right people to grow those people into this environment that is really going to thrive and I'm really excited to see how Coach Bev does in this year, heading into this year. Because I mean, Coach of the Year last year. I know for a fact that she's going to be thriving on that as we head
Right.
into next year. And just seeing how the change in mindset last year grows into this season should be very, very interesting. I'm genuinely excited about it. Just being on in their building a couple of times in the past couple of weeks. Like, I genuinely don't think people understand the energy that is coming from that team. It is going to be incredible, incredible. I already bought the new jersey. I'm ready to go.
There you go. That's awesome. No, I love it too. I think I actually, as a fan, like I love the fact that other teams hate the way that we play. Like
Yes.
they hate the style of play that we have because it's successful, right? Like it keeps them you know, it shuts teams down. And I think that the pressure that we've built through that style of play, like that high pressure, you know, other teams just hate it. They don't like it, you know, because it's not the way they want to play, but it's us dictating the way that we want to play. So I
Yes.
hope that we can continue that this year. I think that's absolutely amazing. I love to kind of have a chance to talk with you today, Tawana. This was really really cool. I'm hoping to see you out at all the racing and Lou City
Yeah.
games this season, and hoping for a lot of really good success for both teams. I think high expectations are definitely high, so we're looking forward to that, and looking forward to your continuing your interviews with some of the players and your preseason previews. So we'll keep an eye out for that as well. But really appreciate you coming on the
Of
show and
course.
talking about kind of your sports background.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And of course, I will always nerd out about anything racing or Louisville related. Anything
Absolutely.
racing, just call me.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I thank you so much, and I
Hmm.
also want to thank everybody for watching and tuning in. Please make sure to give us a follow, and we'll see you next time on another edition of 502 Sports.